hey, if you're mic people, hit us up. Because, I suppose we could buy new ones, but I believe in using everything until they cannot be used anymore. And I think our mics may be coming to that use by date. They're probably saying abuse by date. You just talk too much into us. Hello, that's your job. Fulfill your potential. So, mic check, good. And we can launch into the Daily Egg for Monday, March the 25th, 2024. Good morning, or good evening, or good day, wherever you are. Now, what are we talking about today? Well, I have a list. I do have a list. As I said on, did I say it here? No, I said it on Instagram because I do a little bit of a preview there and remind people that, hello, we're over here now. Don't get too used to where we were before. I don't like complacency, even though sometimes I can get very, very, very stuck in my own comfort zone. How are you this morning, my darling?
I'm good.
Well, so am I. I woke up feeling... Well, for starters, I woke up feeling like, oh gosh, why is sleep not just, I'm very restless at the moment, sleep-wise. And I know a lot of people are. A lot of people are struggling to sleep, struggling to stay asleep. We tend to wake up, and the waking up at 3 o'clock especially is uncanny, but it is very much a symptom of a restless mind and the body that has tuned into that restless mind. So cortisol and all of that stuff, and a whole other range of chemicals that get shot through our bodies, and we wake up at all hours of the night. Because of course, according to our circadian rhythm, we are, waking up. Collagen in a yellow cup. I like to drink collagen every day. And the collagen I drink, this is not an endorsement, but it's marine collagen. I call it beauty powder, and I wish they wouldn't, because collagen is way more than beauty powder. It is really the gum that provides the elasticity and the, and why the bones can gel with cartilage, etc. Not gel, but, move. It's sort of the cushioning. The collagen is the cushioning in between joints, etc. So when women are menopausal, it hurts because collagen is leaving the building. We get so much collagen because of the responsibility of the womb that the woman vessel gets. But anyway, so this is what I use. Beauty powder, it's called. Marine collagen beauty powder. It's not beauty powder. It's just collagen, okay? And the reason why I like the marine one is because it is primarily crustacean or something like that. I can't read it. Here we go. Yes, it is just, whereas other ones tend to be like cow collagen, which I don't want, but something to do with crustacean collagen is better for you. Anyway, gosh, I've digressed again. So I had a list of things here I wanted to talk about, and that was the lunar eclipse and HOLI, which is why we are so colorful. But let me finish talking about the sleep thing. Even astronomy is astounded right now at the number of X flares and M flares, and that's the names they give to flares, because solar flares coming from different regions and different spots, different sunspots on the sun's face. There's all these really inexplicable or phenomena. There's this not phenomena. These things are known, but it's interesting that they're happening with such regular and that even the astronomers are a bit confused as to what's this radiation energy coming. We had a geomagnetic storm last week that finally reached Earth about Friday, and it's not wreaking havoc on anything at the moment. But however, if you are in the northern hemisphere and you are able to see this, the northern lights, the what is it, borealis, the northern lights, they are really going off at the moment because of all the geomagnetic storms, all the solar flares, etc. And I don't think satellites are being affected so much, but you have to understand, if the sun's rays, if we can feel the sun's rays, and those sun's rays have got all sorts of fantastic, science in them. surely they will be affecting the mechanical things. Surely any sun's rays that pass, or come through to us because of solar flares are going to affect any mechanics, any satellites, etc. that are up there. So
radiation, right?
That's right.
Energy.
That's right. So, if your laptop and all that is playing up, of course, if everybody starts to blame Mercury retrograde, Mercury is one of the planets that it changes focus and perspective at certain, and it's got to do with orbits, etc. And in astrology, it's called retrograde, and it's considered a time of, if anything's going to go wrong, it will. And that's not really what it is. It really is about mindset. I'm not an astrologer. However, I do astropsychology interpretations. I'm not a psychologist either, but I have studied astropsychology, and I am a journalist and a writer and a researcher, and I'm very heavily into the astronomy and astrology side of things of the world, which is pretty much everything. And because of that, I know how to interpret birth charts and write them out for you. So, back to the skies. Yeah, interesting things happening. But back to the day, it is a beautiful day. Look at this day. As I was saying, the sun is just, glistening. Look off the canopies. I don't know if I can show you this. I really must. I must. But I've got to do some. So give me one moment. And I'm sorry you have to see up my nostrils. Whoopsies. There, look at how the sunlight is just off the top. And it's just stunning. And the birds, we have a beautiful view out of our balcony, but I still love our Studio K view because it's birds. I just missed a galah. I missed a cockatoo. There's lorikeets all over the place. We'll see rosellas too, ibis as well, and an occasional kookaburra. You can hear the kookaburras. Beautiful. Just lorikeets just flying everywhere. And I think really they're getting a bit ready for, of course, they're going to go into a little bit of hibernation throughout winter. And then maybe they're worrying about the lunar eclipse that is coming up in a few days' time. And, a few weeks, 2 weeks actually. April the 8th, we are having a solar eclipse. Lunar eclipse was last night or tonight. And what our lunar eclipse is this time around is during a full moon. So that's a full moon today. Astrologers are going nutsos right now because it's like full moon, partial lunar eclipse, it's all sorts of things. April's got one thing after the other. So I was talking about Mercury before I should finish that. Now, Mercury, when you look, apparently, when you're seen through lenses and all those, astronomy ways, then what it is that it's just shifted perspective. So what looks like was here sort of looks like it's going back, and that's why it looks like Mercury is going backwards, retrograde. Now, retrograde is also an astronomical term. Can you still hear me, darling?
Yeah.
And that's really just to the perspectives of the planets. Again, I am just telling you all these. Please do fact check for yourselves, see what's happening. So when Mercury goes retrograde, everyone says, oh, there goes communication, there goes everything. So things do tend to get a bit, communication gets really affected because Mercury is considered a planet, or, Mercury, the messenger, is considered, the communication. So Mercury was Roman, because I think the Greek is Hermes, the messenger, the winged messenger of the gods. So I think the Roman is Mercury. Yes, because they've named the planets after the Roman. Right. Thank you, darling. I was like, what am I saying? Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it's just a communications planet, not just. It's a very, very important planet. Thank you very much. I wouldn't want to live there, though. And so all the communication but I just think it's got to do with where the radiation and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it is also, astrologically speaking, a time to take stock, a time to sort of step back and go, what's not working for me? Or if this is working, just let it boil, let it boil. Again, I'm not an astrologer. I should perhaps talk about these things in a bit more depth. And we are going to be talking more skywards things as we head towards the solar eclipse on the 8th of April, which will be fun for whom, I don't know, everyone really. But I think,
I thought it was a lunar.
no, tonight.
Tonight's the lunar.
Today and tonight, well, last night and tonight, yes.
Oh, cool.
So it's a partial lunar eclipse, a penumbral. And what that it means, oh God, let me reach back into this mind. It's a partial, so only real watchers of the moon will see that at a full moon, it's not at its full brightness for a while because there'll be a slight shade. It'll be shaded on either the top or the bottom, depending on where you are. And so it's what's called a penumbral, and that's got to do with some sort of side shadow, not the front shadow. Oh gosh. So the eclipses happen. So the Earth is going to be smack bang in the middle of the sun and the moon, right?
Yeah.
And the partial eclipse happens when it's just look, find it out yourself. It's a partial eclipse. It's not going to be a full blackout of the moon. But as I'm saying about Mercury, I think I've said enough about Mercury. Now I feel all the birds, because the birds really have amped up their activity, darling. I'm seeing, we stand out there, listen to everything. They really, and it's like, ooh, what are they doing? It all feels exciting. They all feel, I think they sound excited. I may be projecting. What do I know what the birds are doing? They're probably like, yeah, let's get ready for total annihilation. Wow, no, jokes. No. I wouldn't wish that. That's hello, it's Monday. Let's not start too early with the doomsday stuff. No, I'm joking.
This conversation just took a turn.
Whoopsies. We're talking about hope and optimism and positivity and the divinity and the beauty of this world. That I am just, look, it's just stunning. It's just a. I wonder if while we're here, I do wonder, do people in all the countries in crisis at the moment, in all the communities and countries and places and locations and all over the world where everyone wakes up to yet another day of what? Are they going to survive the day? Are they going to, have any respite from the miseries of working the land, toiling with blood, sweat, and tears so that those people over in the Western world, the advanced world, can have technology? And then what about all the other countries in crisis right now because they've been attacked by the Western world powers? Even Ukraine, which in itself is a Western world, European, should have been a safe zone. And now Putin is saying he's going to invade somebody else and somewhere else. And what is going on? The truths are going to be unveiled very shortly, I feel. This is no longer a time for... Anyway, let's talk about HOLI. So, now that I've doomed and gloomed a little, because you cannot be oblivious to the world. So whilst I am admiring the world, and I encourage you to do so, because I'm asking you, do the people in these places on this planet right now, do they get up? And I'm sure they get up and look at the world and go, what a beautiful day. Perhaps they do find beauty in the littlest things, joy in the smallest things, amongst the rubble, amongst the shackles, amongst the shacks, People still find time to smile. So it seems a bit weird that those of us in the Western world and in places of privilege, and you should check your privilege because, for everything we think we've got going against us or that is traumatizing us, and I'm not refuting that at all because holy cow, we are all so traumatized and damaged and but it seems unfair that we should be. This is where I got really bored with my trauma because I don't want to be, I feel I'm too privileged in every way. Wealth is material wealth, like financial wealth is not the only privilege in the world, but I think we agree that it is what actually creates the most safety in the world. Most problems can be fixed with money. End of story. Most problems are exacerbated by money, aggravated more by cost of living. So even if you have a problem that is, not material wealth based, like for instance, mine is childhood, teenhood trauma, right? Growing up in the lap of luxury and experiencing that. So what? Well, I guess just having the luxury of taking time away from everything. I had that luxury because of you, darling. And, I got to heal because you took over everything and we don't have children. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And our work that we do, which, look, it's, there are days when I know that we think, gosh, what we wouldn't do for a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday job. And then attempting to go for these jobs in this climate, wow, holy cow. So we do the hard creative thing of doing all our work and just putting all our energy into it and hoping that something, and it does, it does, and you pursue your work, and it's really, but anyway, I had to take time off, and I had the luxury of healing. And my husband saying, "You just heal." He did, he was working. So it's money that gives us all that safety to heal. People having to work, women having to work, full stop. We'll talk about the 4-day work week soon. And work. How embarrassing that we have to work, to slave work, not purpose work. Yes, human beings are meant to work for purpose because we like it and we've got skills, and there's things we can do and we want to do it. And how lovely that we get money for it, right? So that we can then trade with other artisans and other people. And then everybody gets to live a lovely life because everybody has the right amount of money to lead a lovely life and there is no struggle. Wow. You think I'm talking about a fantasy world? I am actually talking about this world that could be. But healing, right? Money really does solve everything. And for those people who say money doesn't buy happiness, fuck you. Sure, it doesn't buy happiness, but it buys freedom and a means to find happiness. And if you have money and you still can't find happiness, you're just a miserable asshole. You're just an ego traumatized person who wants to take everything out in the world. What you want is power over people, control over people, because you have no control over yourself. So, anyway, where was I? I was talking about HOLI, right? Transparency. Now, HOLI is a festival that I really, really love, and I have never, ever, would you believe, ever participated in. Because in Fiji, where I grew up predominantly, from England, little bits and pieces in India, in the then Mumbai, and predominantly Fiji and Australia, because I went to school in Australia. Now in Fiji, we didn't do HOLI. Excuse me, I do need to take a sip of my lovely tea, but I don't want to gulp in your ear. Oh, look at my outfit while I gulp my tea. It is a vintage dress. It is a vintage dress. 80s wrap dress. How wonderful. All it does is wrap around me, wrap here. And, there's no pads. Those are just my shoulders. There's no pads. I don't like pads because I do have shoulders that sort of slope upwards, and when I wear pads, I lose my neck because the pads are right here. But I do love the 80s shoulder padded look, particularly in blazers. I do love shoulder pads, but on me they sort of like this. I love this dress. It is very, for me, I had to open up my wardrobe and voila, right, it just jumped out at me. Because HOLI, they ask you to wear white. So, and then colors are splashed all over it. So let me just drink my tea and we'll continue. Admire the dress. Oh, look. And we have teas brewing as per usual. My tea, the ginger tea, Dwayne's normal tea, eggs, and our coffee. So, where was I, friends? Where was I? Let me get back to it. Now, HOLI. Oh, I have been talking about the world, yes. And astrology. I've just lumped a whole lot of information into this morning. So much sleep as well. Yeah, it's interesting. The sleep I have in between the times I wake up are quite deep. So that's good because I do need to talk about sleep separately. Sleep is so essential to our rejuvenation and regeneration. We just don't sleep the right way. I have talked about this a bit in previous lives, excuse me. We don't sleep properly. We sleep thinking we've got to refuel. We eat and sleep thinking we have to refuel for the day coming up when actually we have to regenerate from the day that has been. And we do need to then eat according to the output of the day that has just been, but instead we tend to eat to fuel for the future and eat for comfort and eat for hunger, which hunger doesn't always listen to our body. It listens to our mind. Crazy. Our bodies and minds. Our minds are fascinating. The brain is beautiful. What an organ. What an evolutionary marvel. What a miracle. What an alien life form our brains are. How incredible. Anyway, where was I? I'm talking about HOLI now. I was talking about Mercury. I was talking about astrology. I was talking about astronomy. But astrologically speaking, yes, it's a very fascinating time. Astrologers are all just like, whoa, there's some major eclipses, major retrogrades in April. And of course, according to astrologers and according to astrology and according to calendars, I should talk to you more about calendars. We have now started the astrological new year. Interestingly, January and February were, according to in the Gregorian calendar, which is a calendar we all follow now, named after Pope Gregory in the 1500s. That's when it came about. Prior to that, it was Julius Caesar's calendar. It was the Julian calendar. And prior to that, it was just a Roman calendar. And it was just a mess. It was pagan. It was taken from everywhere. And so the months of January and February didn't exist. And March, I don't know, the Ides of March, Julius said something about it, blah, blah, blah. But really, it was all just, a bit of a mess. And the Hindu calendar is a really interesting calendar too. It's a lunisolar calendar, but of course, most of the world, barring a few countries, follows the Gregorian calendar. It's just, the construct is very dominant and you might as well go with them. Otherwise, they'll just, I don't know why we all follow the European construct. Perhaps trade. Yes, absolutely trade, darling. But perhaps it also made sense in that it's very, other than the fact that it's complicated, it's actually simple in terms of the other calendars, like the solar hijri, which is the Iranian, the Persian calendar, which is the most accurate, the oldest. Not necessarily, and the Hindu calendar, which is again lunisolar. What is it called? I can't remember. Sorry. But they have a lot of rituals associated with everything. So maybe it's just the Gregorian calendar. You wake up, it's Monday.
Well, it's the simplest.
It's the simplest.
With measurement, everyone's adopted the metric system. Imperial system is freaking confusing.
Yes, but I do love it. I still describe my height in terms of the imperial system. The imperial system.
But just for understanding, for easier measurement, quicker calculations, I guess. Makes more sense.
Yes, it does. I love how the world's calendars. I can't remember what the word planet means, but I can't, because the word calendar comes from the word kalend, which means the first of the month. So the calendar just means the calendar. The word planet comes from something equally fascinating. I can't. Oh my God, I can't remember. It's all Greek named. Anyway, considering that the planets themselves are named after the Roman gods, I'm a bit confused as to how all the Greek stuff came into it too. But okay, it's all very complicated, but simple in its own way. Because everything else, all the ancient ways, are also accompanied with ritual and tradition that perhaps weighs down everything a little bit. That's because the Euro constructs don't have patience. Maybe they had a long play where they said, look, we'll just go and take all their spirituality from them, give them some made-up religion that we stole from all of them, and then now we'll take their spirituality and make them. This is something you have said to me. You said that, they gave the ancient, what is it you said? Well, remember it, and then something about giving,
Yeah, they gave us religion.
Yes.
And then they took our tradition.
They gave us religion and they took our traditions and they repackaged it and sold it back to us. and everyone's still fighting amongst all of us, old, ancient people, brown, black people, of course, being the first in the world after evolving from whatever that it was that we eventually came to, that became a final stop, and where nature went, okay, now this species is ready to evolve further into becoming the custodians of this earth that we are meant to be. I'm supposed to be talking about HOLI. Now let's talk about HOLI. HOLI is a festival that, as I had started saying, I love, but I have never been into, because we don't celebrate HOLI in Fiji. Well, certainly not, we didn't, I didn't. I think the Gujarati community do, and it's always been lovely to go and see how they, I love their traditions. Now, there are lots of different stories as to why HOLI exists. One story, there's a few stories, and depending on where I guess it is, I think that it is considered a South Indian story about Holika. Now, Holika is supposed to be Ravana, who is the king of Sri Lanka. In these tales, do you know any tales of Holi at all, darling?
No.
Okay. No. I don't know why we don't really celebrate in Fiji. I think it's because of, well, it was all just, because we celebrate Diwali and other religious festivities.
One. You only allowed one.
Maybe that was it. And I do know they do Holi now, and that's because it's good for the gram. So influencers in Fiji love going and, and so it's all about gram-worthy stuff. It's all about social media now. It's all about all of that. So they're doing it quite openly, and they do it everywhere. Like in Sydney, we've got, big festivities, come and celebrate Holi and splash colors all over each other. And it's great. It's a wonderful way to get people involved. It's because we shouldn't be segregated. We really shouldn't be, as people of the world. We are all just one species. What is race? Race is bullshit. As an Indian, I can say that to you because I'm not from India. And Indians love telling me that. I'm not from India. I am Indo-Fijian, and I'm proud to be. I am an Indo-Fijian, and that's my race? What is that? My racial grouping? Because I'm not Indian. And what are you? Triracial? You don't know. He does, he's just a person of the world, a man of the world. Human. We're one species. And so it's lovely that I don't mind. I love but as long as it's appreciation and not appropriation. What is appropriation? When they take everything that we do, but mock us for what we do. That's appropriation. When they wear the saris, the bindis, the henna, they do the festivities, but ew, Indians. And why do you smell like that? Ooh, curry muncher, shit like that. That's like, what? I don't think so. So that's just appreciate, otherwise we're coming for you. Now, the traditions behind Holi. So I was talking about Holika, Ravana's sister. Now, these are stories that I know. Whether please do a search engine search, find your own facts or mythology truths or whatever. That's an oxymoron. Mythology truth, but there are truths to them all. Holika was burnt because of Prahlad. Now I don't know where what region this one comes from, but Prahlad was a devotee of Lord Vishnu, a boy who was born to a demon king, or something like that. And then, Vishnu saved Prahlad from Holika, the demon who was going to suckle Prahlad. So I'm mixing up stories here, aren't I? Well, something like that. Either way, I don't like the story because Holika, who is a demon goddess, demoness, I don't know. She does something and she gets, vanquished by Lord Vishnu. And look, a part of me is a bit like, this is a bit of a bigoted, racist thing, because I do think Holika is forgive me, but I feel that I'm remembering something about her being deeper melanated. And I do think that this story has got a lot to do with a bit of a racist and a bit of a bigoted and a bit of a colorist thing here. And I'm not buying it. What I really do love are the other stories I know about it. Now, one story is about Rama, Lord Rama. So Vishnu, one of the main faces of Hinduism godliness. Now, Patriarchy would have you believe it's Vishnu and then Brahma and Shiva. Shiva being a destroyer, but that is more in terms of creation, to regenerate. So, and also the Lord of, just Shiva is a magnificent deity, and all that is said about Shiva, as is Brahma, as is Vishnu. Now, the patriarchy would have you believe that they've all come from, I don't know where, but it is actually, they come from Shakti. Shakti is the primordial force. It is the ether. It is the ooze that we all are in. The grahu, the planets, the planets are all swimming in an ocean of energy out there. This is how it's described. That's why Earth, Bhumi, is she's bobbing in water. It's all, she came up from water. Actually, the Hinduism texts do say, and this is something I knew before I knew that water was dumped onto the planet, didn't come from the core, but the imagery of Bhumi that we have when it was showing the Earth shows Bhumi having come up out of water, the water of life. It's all so beautiful. I've got a lot of information flooding my brain right now, so I'm going to have to just take a moment and have a sip of tea and figure out what I'm going to say next. So I'm talking about Vishnu and his avatars, and a whole flock of lorikeets just flew over. Stunning. Well, they flew over, darling. And look, Monday morning, it's already sun. I suppose they have to. You can't complain. It is after 9 o'clock. It's 9:30 something, or 9:45, and it's life, maintenance day, etc., etc. Around that time, yes, it is. So Vishnu was an avatar. Had avatars. Sorry, not was an avatar. He had avatars, and two of them were Lord Rama, and Lord Krishna. So Rama and Krishna. And Rama was born to a king in Ayodhya. Ayodhya has been in the news lately in India because Ayodhya has now got a temple that was supposedly built on the ruins of a mosque. Oh my gosh. The disrespect sometimes that gets shown to everybody. Yes, build your beautiful temples, but please revere the beautiful architecture of the mosques and the holiness of that. I am not religious, but I believe in God. It's as simple as that. And that has been a long time coming, because I have my entire life said, I don't believe in God. I suppose what I meant was, I don't believe in these constructs of your concept of God. I feel God is why I believe God. In God. I feel God. I feel it in me. And that's got nothing to do with, I don't think I'm God. I feel God, within us. This is why we say namaste, gosh. Or, I do come across as I'm a real big, but I'm Indian and I was brought up Hindu. And these things have stayed in my mind. And I do understand why all these religions exist, so we can make better sense of this complex world we have. And we're not going to listen to science, so we're going to listen to fear. We're going to listen to, magic that is outside of our concept of understanding, which that is science. Science and spirituality is the pursuit of truth and fact. It's faith. It's full faith. I love it. I love you, my darling. Oh, I love what you're wearing too. So, Dwayne, because these are our HOLI homage clothing. So mine is the white with colors of flowers just splashed onto it. And Stormtroopers with a David Bowie lightning bolt. I can't remember which character he was in, because David Bowie, every time he'd release a song or an album, he'd have different characters. And I can't remember the lightning bolt, but it's a very famous, we had spiky hair, etc. Yeah. So this is a Stormtrooper who never gets their mark. So might as well, this is it. If they were shooting HOLI guns, you would see exactly where the bullets have gone, and the person wearing white would still be, and that would be a Stormtrooper. But then you could go and splash some color over a Stormtrooper's.
Yeah, why not?
So that's a little bit of
Stormtrooper is celebrating Holi.
There you go. And why not? Because Star Wars, excuse me, there's a lot taken from Hinduism there. And would you believe I managed to just slip that into a little conversation I had with a certain George Lucas a long, long time ago. Very briefly. Please don't think I'm just pals with old Georgie here. Because if I was, I'd tell him a lot more about what he needs to change about Star Wars. But anyway, as a fan of Star Wars from 1977, the moment I saw it, to actually be on a Star Wars set as part of its production, and then turn around because the young woman you're talking to says, "Hey, Dad, come over here. You should listen to what Dusk is saying." And I turn around and walks George Lucas. Anyway. So that's a story for another time. So, yes, Holi. And it's all about white, wearing white. And I'll explain a bit as to why. Oh, lorikeets they're just flocks of color. It's just stunning. So Vishnu came down to Earth, the earthly realm. So what Vishnu and Shiva and Brahma and the goddesses, who are also the face of Shakti. Now, Shakti is a feminine energy, feminine godliness, feminine. Everything is feminine. From the feminine came the masculine, and how beautiful. How beautiful. What a beautiful specimen feminine was able to create binary power. How wonderful. And all of it exists, all of it. Nothing doesn't exist for no reason. Everything exists. Sadly, evil only exists because apathy and fence sitting exists. And the more you sit on the fence, the more you have apathy or you're complacent about things, the more evil, like a fungus, like a mold, grows. Now, Vishnu came down to, so as I was saying, Vishnu's consort, or really, it's really the other way. So Shakti also sent 3 feminine faces: Lakshmi, the consort of Vishnu, intellectualism, education, and I have to get into more of it, which is more. And then Shiva, who has Parvati, but before that he has Sati. Now Sati was also Shakti as well as Parvati, but Parvati is the stronger one. Now they're on the earthly realms, heavens. So you can say that they say that Shiva lives on Kailash, in Himalayas, etc., etc. And they're all within the earthly realm of heaven. Because we need a mediary. There's always we can't quite stare at the divinity because we don't know what it is, because it's inside us anyway. So in order for us to see, it has to be something that we can see. So that's where I believe these beautiful, beautiful gods were created for that purpose. So for us to be able to externalize our divinity. Anyway, and Vishnu has Lakshmi, the goddess, the god. Lakshmi, prosperity and wealth is what they most attribute to Lakshmi. But that prosperity and that wealth is about everything, not just financial wealth. And it's also about wanting it for everybody. Now, Vishnu came to Earth during the times when Vishnu was needed, according to theology, according to Hindu texts, etc. Ramayana, and he came as Rama, born to the king of Ayodhya, one of 4 sons from 3 wives. There was Ram, Lakshman, born to another wife, and then twins, I think, or younger brothers born to another one. The 3rd wife was not a very nice woman because she wanted her sons to be, king. And I don't know why Rama agreed to it. I can't remember the story. I'm so sorry, but go read the story yourself. Rama, Sita. Now, Sita came to Earth as well. I can't remember if Sita was a Shakti life form, but yes, it has to be. You send a god down in Earth form, you've got to send another god to be that god's companion. So, Anyway, long story short, I don't know why Rama agreed to this, but Rama went into exile for a while, a long while. And with him went Lakshman, his brother, his best mate, and his wife, Sita, who is just glorious. I love Sita. I love Sita. And I can't believe I've forgotten everything about them. This is terrible, but I'm talking about love and knowledge and reading about them when I was a child, in reading the Amar Chitra Katha books, which were comic books for children with all the Hinduism theology, etc., done so beautifully, drawn so beautifully. And I used to get them in a comic book shop in Sula, Fiji, which is the best comic book shop in the world. Sorry, not anymore. We went there in 2022. Don't revisit places unless, of course, anyway. Just don't. Stunning things. And anyway, blah, blah, blah. Ravan also features in this story because Ravan, the king of Sri Lanka, steals Sita, abducts, kidnaps her.
Dear Lord.
Exactly. And, and takes her to his kingdom. And
the gods, right?
Yeah, they're all. See, this is what I do like about Hinduism, though. Hinduism does make these gods, these people, everyone fallible. Like they have faults. Yeah. And there's not so much devils in Hinduism as the demons who have the potential to be gods, but because even the demons pray to the gods. And Vishnu has granted demons wishes because the demons have prayed strongly enough. And it's like, damn. Then Vishnu's got
gods have demon sides.
Yes, they do. And that's what I do like about Hinduism. It actually does say that the gods are flawed because these are earthly realm gods. And it's understanding moral tales from that. If the gods are flawed about something, it's all quite fantastic. Anyway, look, I'm worried that my sound is going to, so keep a lookout for what I'm doing here, darling. Sorry, excuse me, just some behind the scenes maintenance because my battery is about to go. And can you hear me? So he's just. So we're just checking. So I guess I better talk so you can mic check me. Every time I play with the, or no sound?
No, the delay is a bit.
So excuse me, I'm just going to take a sip of tea.
1 second. You still have to plug the thing in.
So I'll just dance over here while Dwayne does a mic check for me. Here he is. Hello. Oh, I suppose I should still keep talking. These are vintage earrings.
Yeah, good.
Great. Sound is good. These are vintage earrings. Well, no, this one isn't, but this is. And, I like to just wear different things every now and then. When I was young, like in Fiji, a teenager, I would buy shoes that were the same type but different colors and this is in the 80s, wear one red, one black. Anyway, so when Ravan stole Sita, right, this is where Hanuman, the monkey god, comes into it. And so they went across, and Hanuman and all the monkeys built a bridge across from India. That's the southern tip of India across to Sri Lanka. So there's all that, okay? So there's this it's amazing, all these stories. And then when you look at the geography of India, it's even more fascinating. Of course, the indigenous Indians are South Indians. The invaders came into the north, and then they pushed the indigenous Indians and their everything, their language, their Telugu. It's not the only language of South India, but Telugu is the oldest language of South India. And it's absolutely beautiful. Anyway, so then they stole blah, blah, blah. Rama, Lakshman, Hanuman, and the monkey army all went across and, they rescued Sita. It was all just great, wonderful, wonderful. And then, not long after, they went back to Ayodhya. I am mixing up some facts of the story, but this is pretty much it. And it was all great. And the king loved Rama and didn't want to send his favorite son into exile, except his favorite wife, obviously the one who. Anyway,
favorite wife.
Why does one become a favorite wife? You tell me. It was Kaushalya was Rama's mother. Kartikya, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, was the other one's mother. So when Rama and Sita and Lakshman went back to Ayodhya, it was huge celebrations. And when Rama became king, blah, 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 it was a triumph of good over evil. It's always a triumph of good over evil. My friends, evil does not exist. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Evil does exist. Okay, let me rephrase that. Let me say that all over again. Let me not right now because I need to unpack that even further. So let me just continue talking about this. So then that was said. Actually, that is the celebration for Diwali. My friends, I have totally messed this all up. That is the celebration for why Diwali exists. But it also makes sense about Holi, right? Anyway, so it's always about the Diwali celebration, which is later on in the year, again, associated with moons and all the time of the changing over of seasons, etc., etc. So Holi, let's get back to Holi as to what Holi is about. I have been talking about the story of Diwali. Duh.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Rama's tale is the story of Diwali, but it is similar to what over evil. So now we're coming back to what actually Holi is and why I like this story of Holi, because Holi is supposed to be about the festival of love. It is actually about Krishna and Radha. And this is an interesting story about it because Krishna was another avatar of Vishnu, and the Mahabharata has got Krishna in that. And Krishna, very simple, but beautiful and skilled and excellent and just a wonderful, wonderful God representative to have on earth. Now, he was all about love and, butter eating and flute playing and the girls. He loved the girls. It was all about a good life. One day, and this is an interesting, so Krishna was born deeply melanated skin. Because and Shiva is also depicted with that, so dark they're almost blue, because it's supposed to be the universe. Now, because of the deeply melanated skin, and I don't know why, what is this component of the story? So now Radha is supposed to be light skin. So Krishna went to his mother Yashoda. He was born. So Krishna's birth is interesting too, because he was not born to Yashoda. He was placed with Yashoda, his mother. And this is another story anyway. Okay. It's all so intricate but at a time when Vishnu was required on earth, they had to get was born and then replaced. It's all just really interesting. I really need to perhaps have read up more about it to refresh my memory before I shared it. But anyway, so Krishna went to his mother Yashoda and said, "Mother, Radha may never love me because of my skin color," which I find a bit like, really? Do they really say all these things? But who knows? Yeah. And Yashoda said to him, "Go to Radha and tell her to color your skin any color she wants. And then you color her skin and you two can be the same color." And that's where the smearing of colors, so you can color yourself in and be any color you want. Lovely. And having said that, please don't do blackface. So Holi is supposed to be about love and about blank canvas and filling with color and love. And that's why you're supposed to wear white. So that at the end of it, and of course, Holi in our Hindi cinema movies have always been these crazy drunken things too, because they drink bhang, which I believe is some sort of cannabis drink. Cool. And it's drunk in homage and to celebrate Lord Shiva, because Shiva drinks all that too. There's a very famous movie starring, of course, the legendary 5 legendary stars of Hindi cinema in this movie. Silsila, I can't remember who directed it. Yash Chopra, I don't know, very famous Hindi cinema director. And so it's Amitabh Bachchan, his real life wife, Jaya Bhadri, another legend, and Rekha, legend of legends, and Sanjeev Kumar and Sashi Kapoor. And there's this great Holi scene where Amitabh sings a song, he's drunk and he's flirting with Rekha, who is not his wife, but who he was in love with before he got married. So it's a really silly scene and it's fun and whatever. There's a lot of Holi, and my favorite one though is from Sholay. Hema Malini, Dharmendra, Amitabh Bachchan, and Jaya Bhadri. But it's all. Do you remember it when they're just before Gabbar Singh's dacoits attack the village? But there's a huge,
Oh yeah. Right.
Cholo Saheli. It's just lovely. It's just I love Sholay. Sholay is 1977. Anyway, it is a classic movie, and if you haven't watched it, if you are a cinema fan, if you're a fan of movies, because movies are a feat of imagination and creativity and production. I love movies. We love movies. Sholay has got to be one of your top 50 worldwide movies you must see. It is classic. It is excellent. It's excellent. Now, back to Holi. What I actually think Holi is about, I haven't even talked about everything else. I was going to talk about the 4-day work week. Like, what do you think? It should happen, right? They're not going to make it happen because they think profits will go. But anyway, I believe that Holi, and this is based on fact, it's not just my belief, it actually is truism. Holi being when it was, also, let's talk about all the other festivities of the other religions. For instance, Ramadan, and it's not Ramadan, even though all of us now, including myself, even though I was told this decades ago, because we do in Fiji have all the religious festivals, all the religious commemoration. We have, Eid, and so Ramadan, and then, except for we don't practice Holi, but it is commemorated, and then Diwali, etc., Christmas, and all of these things, Easter and Navratri, and But in the Northern Hemisphere, all of these festivities, how do I say that? Festivals? It's not really a festival. Religious celebrations, commemorations, religious, days on the calendar, or festivals, whatever. They mark something to do with actual practicality.
Holiday.
They mark agricultural practices, they mark astronomy, they mark astrology. They've got so much more to do with what is happening on the ground and on the sky than actually what is happening, in mythological things. So Holi being around the time when the seasons change over from Northern Hemisphere, winter to spring, there are a lot of, everything's coming out of hibernation. There's a lot of sicknesses in the air. So, what is the best way to make sure that the population gets medicated with, organic, holistic herbs that are there for medicinal purposes? So the holy powders of before were the ground up powders of, of everything, of like herbs, spices, some flowers, florals that were good for you, and some florals, of course, do make you sneeze because of the pollen. So because spring has also got pollen in the air, everyone's sneezing. So not only has everyone come out of hibernation, there's spring pollen in the air, everyone's getting a bit sick, etc. So these medicines, when people come out of hibernation, they're coming out of their houses with their own, we've all been basically brewing or stewing in our own hibernated. Nice. And so that's it. So when we come out, it's like bang, mass powders. The danger now, of course, and they do really but they don't stress it enough, all these colorful powders now are not organic. They are the result of chemical colors, etc., and they're not good for you. The things they do to you, you inhale these chemical powders, they go into your eyes, they go up your nostrils, they go into your ears, they're in everything. Apparently, from what I understand, news reports after Holi, visitations to GPs, etc., go up because these are chemicals everyone's inhaling in the name of some religious, or in the name of religious practices, which were really about practical medicinal practices. So back then, the florals, the reds would be from ground up red flowers, what I don't, but what Indian women from India especially use as sindoor, etc. That's a beautiful plant. And henna comes from natural sources. The henna that is, don't ever use black henna. Henna is supposed to be red. When going on, it's light orange or dark actually. Sorry, what am I saying? When it's going on, it's a bit more of a greeny black, and it should never be black. And then when it does come up, the henna, the mehendi comes out on your skin, it's going to be orange to red according to your temperature. So mehendi was also a way for the people of the household to know when the new bride, how the new bride was feeling, because mehendi, henna cools the body, cools the temperature. So she's scared, she's flustered, whatever. But if she's calm, then it gets darker, something like that. I don't know. And if it stays longer, that means the mother-in-law doesn't expect the bride to do any work, so the mehendi stays forever. So it's a sign of a good mother-in-law if the daughter-in-law's mehendi stays for months, because that means she's not doing any washing and work, etc. So I think HOLI was a wonderful way to mass vaccinate, to mass powder the people, to spread all the incredible neem. Yes. And unfortunately, that's now become warfare. So they're using, oh my gosh, they're certainly using that in the Middle East right now, in Palestine, using chemical warfare. But HOLI was just a practical, I'm not saying it was just, it was a beautifully, wonderfully gorgeous way to have everyone having fun and being healthy at the same time. Come out, enjoy yourselves, enjoy each other, but let's throw powder at each other. And the reason why I think it was white, even though the spiritual ways, excuse me, I do need to clear my throat, so give me one moment. Using spiritual ways to make sure everyone has access to these medicinal powders, medicinal ground up herbs and spices and flora, that all the trees and the leaves, etc., can help or can deter sicknesses and illnesses and be used as antibacterial, antimicrobial, all that stuff. And the reason why I feel white was worn is so that so you can tell straight away who has and who hasn't. And the different colors on white, okay, that person hasn't had enough of the reds and the greens, they just had oranges and whatever, to make sure they get those, you know what I mean? It's a wonderful way to say, ooh, look, those kids have only got reds on them. Where are the oranges? Where are the greens? Kind of thing. So stuff like that. So that everyone could see, everyone has now got access to all that, because also back in the day, the clothing was not synthetic. It was all, natural, organic, spun stuff. So these were still materials that could actually also help you absorb the powders. So I think that's a wonderful reason to have such a wonderfully beautiful, visually beautiful and spiritually beautiful festival. And it is all about love. It is. I don't really like the Holika one. Maybe that is, a very much part of the story for one region, the triumph of good over evil. Absolutely. Going back to what I said, evil doesn't exist. Well, evil does exist because people who are not, because of complacency. I have always said it's good versus apathy, and apathy breeds the fungus that is evil. We allow things, we tolerate and then accept things, and that's where evil grows. Anyway, well, look, that's all I've got energy for today, talking about HOLI. I mentioned a little bit about the eclipse. I think the Northern Hemisphere or North America gets to see the penumbral, which is a partial lunar eclipse, more. I think if it's 24th there right now, you'll be able to see that the full moon is today, March the 25th. I do hope we get to see a beautiful full moon, because it is a beautiful, clear day in Sydney, and it feels lovely, and it feels hopeful, it feels optimistic. It feels wonderful to wake up on a Monday and go, wow, I'm excited about today. And then I realized, well, I have to finish some work, but that's good. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And also the daily egg. And I'm feeling like the changes have got to happen. We're seeing it in news. I haven't been reading news out to you. I can't even share news on my Instagram stories. It's all so, it's coming. But transparency, folks, we are seeing more and more and more who the evil people are. We're seeing how blatant bigots and racists and genocide supporters and apologists are. They're on Instagram, on wherever social media, they're just blatantly saying, yeah, kill you, blah, blah, blah. And people are actually few people, not as much as the people in support of pro-humanity and anti-genocide. But there are people who say, like, we will see a clip of what's happening in Palestine, and there are people who blatantly say, oh, look at these actors, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, excuse me? There is a real-time genocide happening, folks. But we also have to unpack a lot more than just what we are seeing right now. Because there is a war going on, and people want you to choose sides. And this is not the time to choose sides. It is the time to choose good. It is about the power of good, because we have not seen the wrath of good. We've just seen the wrath of God. But for some reason, is always delivered on a platform of evil. Why is that? Anyway, look, that must be it for today, and it must be time for the daily egg. That does mean it is time for us to go, and I think I'm starting to slur my words, etc. My energy is being depleted, so I've got to go. Oh, well, wait a moment. My husband has taken the toast.
Oh, no, I'm just giving you a fresh.
He hates it because he just gave it to me a few minutes ago, and I continued talking. So he likes giving me fresh toast. He's going to eat that toast, don't worry. No, you timed it perfectly. I have just spoken over the time. So I have been wanting to structure this to be an hour long, but I have leeway for an hour 15, because when I talk, I flow. And I do like to tie the threads. So I do like to, at least what I started with, I'm going to tie the threads up. So I've got fresh toast coming up, and I can talk until that toast is with me. Don't worry, the other toast is not going to get wasted. Dwayne will eat it, which is a bit annoying, my darling, because there's nothing wrong with it. I do like cold toast. As someone who is used to talking over, you know.
But it's all soft and it's not crunchy.
Oh, darling. Anyway.
I mean, I don't know. I like fresh toast.
So that means I'm going to talk for a few more minutes to fill in as to what's happening here. But no, I don't, because we have, my friends, toast and the daily egg. Thank you very much for being here. That's us for today. Bye. Oh, darling.